Hey guys, good evening.
Hi everyone! Welcome sa daldalang walang curfew!
Usapang di nalalockdown. Ito po ang
QuaranTALK! Hi
Hey.
Jules! Yes,
Hello.
it's the nth day of quarantine.
Uh-huh.
Day
Yeah.
9.
Day 90 something. Pero last June 15, ano na natin 'yon? Third month. Third month
Yeah.
natin after quarantine.
Yes, oo. And now we are on our first episode for the third season of QuaranTALK. Ayan, kasabay nga yan usually ng pagtatapos ng isang phase ng GCQ, ECQ at kung ano-ano pang change and quarantine protocols. So again, guys, simula June 16 nagtuloy-tuloy lang yung general community quarantine dito sa Metro Manila and ECQ po ulit sa Cebu City. Ayan.
Right.
So, babantayan pa rin natin yan. Pero sa ngayon, tingnan muna natin yung latest tally natin on the COVID-19 cases. Jules?
Yes. So, kanina po nilabas na ng DOH ang latest nila sa numbers natin for today, June 17. Happy anniversary nga pala sa mom and dad ko. Happy wedding anniversary. 31 years na sila.
Happy wedding anniversary!
Right. So, total cases natin today ay 27,238. Death toll natin at 1,108. And total recoveries natin shooting up to 6,820.
Right. And for the record po today, we had 457 new confirmed cases, 5 deaths, additional deaths were reported, and 268 more patients have recovered as reported today by the Department of Health as of 4 p.m. of June 17th. Globally po, we'll give you an update also as of 12 noon, June 17th. 8.1 million cases na po ang meron globally with 441,668 deaths and over 3 million recoveries at affected pa rin po ang 188 countries or regions. So yun yung latest. There are reports of some possible medicine and cure pero wala pa rin po vaccine. So that means lahat po tayo pwede pa rin magkaroon ng COVID-19. So still be careful and observe the quarantine protocols po. And with that, we'll talk about some of the latest news surrounding this COVID-19 pandemic and also our quarantine. We'll start with this one, an issue between the Ombudsman and actually it's an issue on our health department, no? Pinaimbestigahan po ng Office of the Ombudsman ang Department of Health dahil sa kanilang quote lapses sa pagtugon sa COVID-19 pandemic. So maaaring masampahan ng criminal and administrative charges ang si Health Secretary Francisco Duque III at ilan pang health officials, lalo na kung di sila makipagtulungan sa investigasyon. Sabi kasi po sa statement ng ni Ombudsman Samuel Martires, sabi doon, they were given around by some DOH officials and personnel by referring them from one department or office to another. So yan, iimbestigahan po ang alleged anomalies and irregularities sa mga aksyon ni Duque at ng iba pang empleyado ng DOH. Kasama po dyan ang delay sa procurement ng mga personal protective equipment or PPEs, lapses and irregularities resulting to deaths of health workers, the delays in processing and release of medical workers' benefits, at confusing and delayed reporting of COVID cases and deaths. Ayon naman po sa DOH, may kipagtulungan sila sa Office of the Ombudsman. And DOH says they will comply with the directives from the Ombudsman and that the department maintained that they have been transparent in the COVID-19 response. Ayan. So tingnan po natin yung magiging result ng investigation. And actually, the investigation has been going on since March. Pero dahil nga sa difficulty in coordinating with DOH, nagbigay ng go signal yung Ombudsman for filing of either criminal and or administrative charges against DOH personnel. Jules?
Yeah, okay. So abangan natin kung anong magiging result niyang ongoing probe na yan. Pero ang next news natin still aligned with the COVID. Isa sa mga advisors ng National Task Force ng COVID, unfortunately, ay nasibak na po mula sa kanyang pwesto. Siya ay walang iba kundi si Dr. Tony Liachon. So no longer advisor to the COVID-19 Task Force. So Dr. Tony Liachon, sabi nga niya, hindi na siya ang special advisor ng COVID-19 Special Task Force na siyang nangunguna sa COVID-19 response sa bansa. Sa kanyang tweet, nasabi ni Liachon, i-share ko rin sa inyo yan ha, may tweet si Doc dito. Actually, napakabait na doktor nito. Lagi ko siya na-interview sa morning show sa PTV4. And nakakalungkot na yan yung sinapit kasi talagang napakahusay na doktor nito. Anyway, yan po yung tweet niya. I'm so sorry, medyo maliit siya. No? Pero sabi niya, meron siyang differences with the DOH policies gaya na lack of sense of urgency, problems in COVID-19 data management, at transparency. Pahayag naman na National Task Force Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez na yung mga pahayag nga ni Liachon sa media ang naging rason ng ilang di pagkakaunawaan sa IATF at sa NTF. Once again, ang IATF sila yung sa policy, ang NTF naman sila naman ang nakafocus sa implementation ng policies na yun. So yan po ang latest pagdating sa COVID-19 response dito sa Pilipinas. May mga issues, pero syempre all we want right now is to have a cure and wala nang mahawa pa.
Yes. And on that note, tingnan natin kung paano nagko-cope ang mga tao amid the pandemic. So, punta tayo sa ating current trends. Pero bago yan, mag-hello muna tayo kay Doc Gilbert Guiang. Hi po, Doc.
Sir, thank you so much.
Yan. So, isa sa naging trending hobby ng mga tao ay ang maging plant mom and plant tita at plant dads. Kagaya ni Jules Guiang. Yung nakikita niyo po sa screen niyo ay ilan sa mga babies ni Jules Guiang sa kanyang nest. Okay, so nauso po ang paghahalaman habang nasa quarantine. So nag-usbungan na rin yung iba't ibang mga negosyo, offering planting tools, pots, and indoor plants. And ayan, si Jules ay nag-share ng ilan sa mga babies niya. Yung cactus daw, Jules, anong story niyan?
Yan yung pinakaunang halaman ko. Bukod sa halaman ako, hindi, joke lang. Yung pinakaunang halaman ko, actually, namatay na yan ilang beses, tapos di ko gets nabubuhay pa rin siya. So, Lord, thank you so much po. Pero yan, yung rooftop ko dito sa Hatch Hub, dito sa Maginhawa, puno-puno ng mga halaman. Kaya pag nasistress ako, pupunta lang ako doon para kausapin sila. O, diba?
Actually, curious ako kung anong itsura ng namatay na cactus at nabuhay na cactus.
Kasi dry, hindi na nakakatusok yung mga ano niya. Ano matawag din?
Papakita ko bago kong baby. Wait, I don't have a picture because they're here. Tada! Tada! Tada!
Anong klaseng halaman yan?
Ayun. So wait, yung nasa screen niyo po, yan yung iba't ibang mga Instagram accounts offering plants and ayan, iba't ibang plants. Pero this one, the one I'm holding, is the Philodendron Brazil. It's a cute desktop plant.
Okay.
So, tingnan niyo. Here. Dalawa sila, pero wala pa silang pangalan kasi kakatanggap ko lang sa kanila today. So, tingnan natin po.
Arvin na nanonood mula sa Davao. Good evening.
Yes. Pero Jules, matanong kita, bilang aside from your cactus, meron kang herbs and spices sa iyong urban garden. So,
rosemary herbs kami, pero naubos na ng urban chick. So, kasalukuyang wala. Pero nagtanim din kami ng corn. So, inaabangan ko yan kasi mahilig ako sa mais.
Oh, interesting. Ayan, kasi anong mga benefits sa inyo? Bukod sa may restaurant kayo, may family restaurant, so the herbs are helpful definitely. How does it benefit you as a plant dad?
Well, farm to table yung ginagawa namin at for some of our menu. Pero yun nga, especially during this quarantine, di ba yun din sinasabi ng DA eh. If you have the space or if you have the wall, pwede nyo gamitin yan para magtanim. Pero syempre, hindi naman siya instant agad. Pero no harm with trying, simulan nyo na agad.
Yes, so titingnan ko rin kung kaya ko mag-alaga ng halaman. So, end their plan. So we'll see. Okay. And now, Jules, pag-usapan naman natin ay isa sa mga trending topics, actually trending topic to maya't maya halos sa social media because of kumbaga, mas palakas ng campaign and advocacy on gender equality. Lalo na ngayong buwan, it's June, it's Pride Month. So, Jules, sino makakasama natin tonight sa ating QuaranTHINKING?
Right. Ang ating guest ay isang she has been a freelance PR and marketing consultant for 7 years. So undergrad pa ako noon. Joke. After starting nagre-react siya. After starting a boutique design and digital agency, while that's now defunct, she continues to consult pro bono for small businesses, helping them achieve their digital marketing goals. She's a proud transgender woman. She is a trustee of Metro Manila Pride and organizer of Asia's biggest Pride March and Festival. Let's all welcome Thysz. Hi, Thysz! Hello.
Hi guys! Good evening!
Good evening.
Hello everyone!
How are you?
Happy Pride! Ito ang aking Pride fan.
Happy
Pride. So
Meron
thank you for
kami
having me.
SDG Will naman. Pakita mo yung sa'yo.
Ayun.
Ayun!
Para rin siya
good.
ka-rainbow natin.
Yeah, for SDG 5, no? Gender equality.
Yes, SDG.
Okay.
Napakaganda.
Yes. So, siyempre, kaisa kami ang QuaranTALK sa pagdiriwang ng Pride Month. And of course, we are maximizing social media para marami ring ma-educate dito. Kasi we all know na hindi pa naman talaga lahat aware tungkol sa mga pinaglalaban ng advocacy na to. So, let's try to use this segment tonight, guys, regarding that.
Yes, so to start off, natin ng context yung viewers natin, Thysz, on paano nag-start yung pag-gain ng momentum ng campaign for LGBTQ rights? And how did the Pride March started? Or even in the Philippines, what can you share with us?
Oh, sure. Okay, so Pride started, ang roots talaga ng Pride is with protest. The earliest accounts of Pride, at least, siguro hindi na natin sabihin na parang na-name siya as Pride, but just a call for equality in terms of sex and gender, especially in gay men and lesbian women. So a lot of it started in the Western countries, which is of course, siguro sa United States, it was a reaction against oppression. Normal naman na if you think you're oppressed, your voice is not heard, you have no rights, you want to fight for it. But it wasn't until Stonewall happened. It's a bar in New York. So there was people were just quietly celebrating and partying. You know how it is. I don't know. In the LGBTQ community, bars are basically safe spaces. So these are spaces where you can freely be yourself. For the most part, ito yung naging gamit ng mga bars for LGBTQ. And that's where you can peacefully celebrate and be yourself. But there was an attack to it, no? So for no reason, the bar was deemed illegal, and the people there were removed, forcibly removed. Of course, they had to protest. They had to fight back. So it was a transgender woman by the name of Marsha Johnson who started the first direct action to defend and protect themselves from the invading, at that time, policemen regarding, because they were interfering with the safe space. They want to protect their safe space. It became a national sensation because you know how it was ridiculed it's as if no one should be dealing with gay and lesbian things, just gay and lesbian people. But the injustice was so prevalent, it was so obvious. It was something that, na-feel ng mga tao noon na parang, okay, maybe I can empathize with them. So, it became a sensation in the news, in the United States, and they got traction in terms of civil liberties. Of course, we all know there's also tension naman sa states, and for the most part, ang minority ka na nga na people, POC, person of color, tapos LGBTQ ka pa. Eh marami sa ganun na nandun ang buhay. So, it became very hard for them to stand up and live amongst those who judge them. That's why they had to. The actual Pride March happened way later, when people started to realize na LGBTQ rights are human rights. And in the same way that they fought for their civil liberties, they can fight for their rights by organizing. So when they organized, the first thing that they wanted to do is to march, demand that they be heard, have media coverage, and spread the word about their cause. No, so when that happened in the States, it quickly became something that is a tradition or something that started as well in different parts of the world. So different countries have their own pride marches as well. Those are the roots. But since these countries, for the most part, have enacted rules against discrimination against LGBTQ individuals, Pride March has evolved into more of a celebration. So since they've achieved something by organizing and protesting, they've turned it into a celebration. And that's why it's also part of the reason why it's called Pride, because there's so much shame when you're LGBTQ. That's what they were trying to shed, first of all. You cannot even march, imagine, if you have shame. So they called it Pride so that they can go out and be proud of themselves. Not, there was a criticism. Why did you call your march for the fight for your equality after a sin? And they, because pride is one of the original sins, and it's 7 deadly sins. And then it's such a wrong interpretation of pride.
Mm-hmm.
The sinful pride is the one that you use, to become, to feel better than another person.
Yeah.
Right.
But here, what we're calling for is equality.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get rid of the shame first. That in the first place, other people have put on us, those who are judgmental and those who do not understand our lived experiences. That's the reason why it has to be called pride.
Okay. Guys, let's bring the discussion here in the context of the Philippines. Kasi we see messaging that pride is a protest. So in the context of the Philippines, obviously the strong institutions are the government, and you also have the church, especially dito sa bansa na to. So paano yung engagement nyo ng protest to engage with the government and the church as well? Dahil yun nga, kahit paano malaki pa rin yung factor ng church. So how do you engage with them?
First of all, sorry, I wasn't able to cross into the local pride origins, no. But pride in the Philippines started in the 1990s. So again, it's a protest. It started. There are conflicting reports on like really what can we consider as a pride march. But the first gender-based march, a protest that happened, was by lesbians during a women's rights rally.
Mhm.
So the lesbians a lesbian group was represented during that time, and they represented themselves as a part of the women's group that was rallying for women's rights at that time. And then soon after, there was a movement to basically bring the spirit and movement of pride that was prevalent already in the States, in Europe, in Australia, to the Philippines, like i-pattern na din sa ginagawa sa abroad. So it was led by the original group that started Pride. But again, it started as a march, and with all marches, may panawagan yan eh. There's a call what to do, and then of course our first, who do we call? I mean, who do we expect who should listen to us? Of course, number one, it's the general public, and then the government, because again, as you've said, they're the strong institution. Uh, the call then was just literally the same call as we have right now. I mean, shamefully though, uh, it's to it's anti-discrimination. Stop being discriminated only for the basis of your sex and gender. Um, Usually, sex and gender talk, even in our constitution, only ends with the male and the female.
Mm-hmm.
So we as people, LGBTQ, who have lived experiences beyond the sex and gender that's defined by people 20, 30, 40 years ago, we want to demand uh, that to be part of that civil protections that are afforded to us uh,
Mm-hmm.
by the Constitution, definitely, and the benefits that come with it,
Mm-hmm.
like when you get married,
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, job security,
Mm-hmm.
and then yun. So parang basically yun yung panawagan from the government. Parang yun yung hinihingi from the government, no? The church. Uh, okay, so it's evolved very much, I guess. When I was young, 60 years old, parang lola. So, um, nung nung kabataan ko pa, when I was joining the pride events in Malaten, because I'm a transplant. I lived my entire life in the province in Mindanao. So when I moved to Manila for college, I was 17 years old. Um, I was introduced to an entirely different kind of culture, and being, just sa probinsya, ano lang ako, parang flamboyant gay lang ako doon. Yun lang hanggang doon lang yung understanding nila kung ano ako. Even my own self, I didn't know yet. When I went to UP, that's when I realized, okay, there's something that could describe who I am. And that's when I realized that there was something to call what my experience was, and that's being transgender. And even then, the influence of the church, not just the Catholic Church, this is including evangelical churches and those who are we already know the different religions in the Philippines, but uh, living your life as an LGBTQ and appealing to them to respect you when in fact their own teachings specifically prohibit being yourself. It's almost a denial of who you are. It's painful, but it has evolved. So we have, the kids now are incredibly lucky. They can have the support of the internet, number one, because on the internet you can find support for people who remain religious but are LGBTQ, and those who fear religious persecution. Queer theology is one resource where they explain the theology of the Christian religion in terms of queer thought. And in the Philippines, we have MCC. It's a metropolitan church. It's based in Malate. And they're a church that anchors their beliefs in equality of all peoples, most especially genders, between sex and gender. So they're the ones who you see, they're called open table. They're the ones you see in the news na nagkasal ng same-sex couples. Diba? Tapos it gets the news. I mean, it becomes news because may shock value. Parang, ay, kinasal dalawang lalaki. Oh my God! Skandalo! Parang ganun yung effect niya. But in fact, right now, hindi na masyadong ganon. I think it's more of parang, it's an open alternative. Hindi na lang sila yung parang freak, like, offshoot ng Christianity. It's more of an alternative, an open alternative that what we can do. I guess to Jules' point earlier, yes, there are specific demands to our biggest institutions who are most against, unfortunately, for some reason, the human rights of a huge percentage of their population. And it's a population na hindi naman na walang ambag. Ayan, di ba? Napakauso ng usapang ambag. Ha? So, like, you cannot discount the power and the influence and the things that we bring to the table. But there's continuous and systemic oppression of our own gender and sex and gender. Thing is, it's harder to demand that from the church because obviously, they're an entity that follows their own rules. It's just a matter of appealing to what religion is supposed to be. For me, and that's belief in a certain faith and respect and love to all people. That's it. If they cannot think about it that way, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's so there's a positive point that you've mentioned about how people's perspectives are also evolving and becoming more accommodating, while there's still a continuous call for bigger institutions to broaden, I guess, their perspective on these matters. But maybe let's make it easier for the other parts of the population to understand. When we talk about LGBTQ, for us who have been exposed to different movements, campaigns sa UP, diba? Mas naiintindihan na natin to. Pero how do we explain this to a part of the population who doesn't really fully grasp this yet? How do we understand what LGBTQ is and how wide the spectrum is?
True. So, it always starts with an open mind. Yun talaga. So, I guess my experiences in terms of explaining what this all is, the most critical or those who are close-minded would basically sabihin nila na parang ridicule nila yung LGBTQ as parang ano ba yan, the alphabet soup. Ano ba yan, the parang you don't want to be labeled but you're putting labels on yourself, etc. So that's an unfair take for me, no? Why? Would you rather not be called anything? Diba? Kung ikaw as a person, you're defined as male or female, straight, would you rather not be called anything? Ako as a transgender woman, I would define myself as such because it stakes my claim to the world. Me as a human person, with this lived experience, it's my stake in the world. Important ang name, important ang pag-claim ng that kind of label. It should not be ridiculed at all. I think all there is to it is ridicule and misunderstanding. But how do you explain it? So the spectrum, for the most part, LGBT is LGBTQ is an expression of unity towards our own understanding of human sexuality and gender. So because LGB are this pertains to sexuality, human sexuality. So if we understand SOGI, if I want to make people understand SOGI, LGB is part of SO, sexual orientation. Any person can have their own sexual orientation or none. You can have no sexual orientation. Then gender identity, the GI in SOGI, is your T and Q. So that's your being transgender and queer. Queer can also refer to sexuality, but it's more of a catch-all. There are, of course, two more letters, I and A. So intersex, which is a gender term, a type of gender, and then A, which is asexual, which pertains again to sexual orientation. So then that's without sexuality and actually a gender, meron ding a gender. There are many terms, but what I want them to know, or if somebody wants to know about it, don't get lost in the terms.
Yeah.
If you have an open mind and an open heart to understand and empathize the lived experiences of another person, a lived experience is something you will never understand or never completely feel 100% because you did not live that experience. So to understand and to be able to understand that person, you have to empathize with their lived experiences and respect it. Kung paano nila describe sa'yo yun, ganun. Diba? And then you have to understand and respect it. To explain further LGBTQIA, yun yung first mong kailangang hurdle na matanggal. When they think na parang ang dami namang terms, ang dami ng then have an open heart, have an open mind, and then we can talk freely about it. I won't delve into the specifics of each one, but what I want you guys or those who are watching to know that to educate yourself about LGBTQIA and SOGI, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression is not something that's impossible right now to do on your own self. Okay? You have the resources, you can watch videos, you can read things on the internet, you can talk to people who have actually lived experiences as LGBTQIA.
Right.
I remember, kwento ko lang mabilis. So I remember there was one time, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, I was also new to understanding the entire SOGI, the whole gender spectrum, sexual spectrum, and everything. When I first knew about it, it blew my mind. Kasi I didn't realize that sexual orientation and gender identity is separate.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense because if you feel it sa sarili mo, you'll realize, oh, iba nga siya. And it's validated by the lived experiences of other people. So, nagkwentuhan kami, I had a talk with friends na they're all guys, straight men who were my office mates before. And we had a talk over, very, very chill, nagkakape lang kami, But then I know they can't get it out of their heads na I'm a transgender female presenting friend, but they don't know any other transgender friends. They don't have any other friends na kagaya ko. Bakit? Tapos sabi nila, hindi ko alam, parang, ano ka lang, parang, ikaw lang yung feeling ko, karespeto, alam mo yung lumabas na rin yun. Parang feeling ko, ikaw lang yung kaya namin kausapin about this. Feeling ko, ikaw lang yung may talino na kausapin about this. Tapos sabi ko, bakit hindi? Natry mo na bang kausapin sila? Hindi, natatakot kami. Bakit ka natatakot? Kasi hindi ko rin sila naintindihan.
Okay.
There you go. There you go, right?
Yeah.
So, at that point, then I offered, if I'm able to make you understand who we are, can I hope that when you encounter another transgender woman, you will treat her without fear, without ridicule, and pure respect as another human being? And they said yes. And I taught them about Soji, and it blew their minds.
Okay, I'll share a very quick story na din, Thysz. I think 7 years ago, nung nasa student council pa ako sa UP, council ko si Pat Bingas. Tapos, she was counselor like me. Tapos, her committee was, gender equality? Gender equality ba? Ano yung committee yun? Basta may committee sa USC about that, about gender equality. Tapos, she's hoping in the future, hindi na kailangan itong committee na to. So, doon ako napaisip bigla na, parang ang galing nung thought na yun na hindi na siya kailangan ilagay sa structure kasi parang yun yung pinaka-ambition, yung pinaka-aspiration in the future na hindi na siya kailangan ilagay sa structure kasi meron ng gender equality. So my question now, Thysz, as one of the trustees of the Metro Manila Pride organization, nasaan na yung movement ngayon? Ano na yung mga siguro milestones na na-produce ng movement dito sa Pilipinas? And ano yung way forward pa natin?
Okay. So, from something that's very, very local and very, very small, and I guess the criticism about Pride before was it was too much of a Western ano ba? Parang yung blueprint niya, yung blueprint ng Pride noon ay very Western, very US, very ganon, no? So, the local Pride felt like a party. It didn't have the responsibilities or didn't carry the responsibilities. Or it did, of course, but the external, kung paano siya nakikita ng media, ng tao, naintindihan ng masa, is it's a party. It's a one day where the gays and lesbians can be, rambunctious in the streets, show off in their colorful outfits. But that's just a very small part of Pride, no? What was the aim of the organizers from the past 3-4 years was to turn it back to its roots, but still make it feel like people are, of course, having fun being themselves, that it's a safe space to be there and share your being LGBTQIA, when maybe you cannot, no? Publicly. Feel the kind of support that may not be there. We all know that meron pa rin napapalaya sa bahay dahil bakla ang anak, nalalaman bakla ang anak nila. No matter how hard and unfair that is, until now, it's still prevalent. So when that was changed, nangyari yun ng mga ilang taon na before. 4 years ago siguro, nag-start yung change towards a Pride that's more on the demands of a solution, no? A lasting solution to yun nga sa point ni Jules na sinabi Si Pat was my roommate in one of the seminars. Ay, kwento ko lang. That's why we're close. But yun nga, yung point na sana wala na lang ganito. Why do we need a gender counts, parang thing, when in fact we can weave ang usaping gender into everything that we do, and then make decisions when we understand sex and gender very well, no? So that's the same goals as that we want from doing Pride. Pride itself as an organization is very close to organizations that fight for the passing of the anti-discrimination bill, marriage equality law, and a host of different efforts. Actually, the chairman of Metro Manila Pride is also one of the leaders, actually the founder of Rainbow Rights. Rainbow Rights is a legal organization na parang flag sa US. Parang it's a legal support organization that helps LGBT issues, no? So we see a lot of paths that we try to go to that's beyond just the celebration and the partying. But make no mistake, there's nothing wrong in celebrating and partying. It's very much a part of the life of an LGBTQIA, because we understand there's very little to celebrate, but we still do. What the heck? Life is fabulous. Let's celebrate it. But then we have to demand something that we can give to the future. The future LGBTQIA children, individuals. The goal is they must not feel this. They must not feel that they still have to fight for this. The goal is these generations are protected. I don't know if you've heard about the example. There's the recent news that was kind of trending. There was one of the most awarded scientists of the University of the Philippines. It's a food scientist, no? And he is a gay man who has a longtime partner. He had cancer and died of cancer. When he was dying, his partner was asked many times if he is part of the family, because until now our healthcare demands that when you can take care of somebody else's health, it has to be family or legal partner, a husband or a wife. The partner of so many years wasn't even able to help, be there and involve himself in decisions involving his partner who's dying. And it's beyond the fight for gay rights, LGBTQ rights, is beyond, just marriage because you want to wear a gown or you want to have a grand wedding. Of course, we want. Some people do not. The same way straight people not all like a grand wedding. The point is that right is not available to us. It's not equal. So strides in terms of that fight, well, at least it's in Congress at pinag-uusapan minsan. ADB almost made it, but Duterte withdrew support at the last minute. But what we're winning is, I think, the smaller fights, which is in the local governments. A lot of the local governments have anti-discrimination bills. Laws now, or ordinances. Sorry, cities have anti-discrimination ordinances, and we want to fight that the bigger cities must have it, especially cities like Makati and Taguig, which have huge populations of working individuals who are LGBTQ, so that they can be protected from discriminatory practices of companies against these LGBTQIA workers. In terms of how big Pride is already, so before you would only see it in local news, and it's just something that discussed na parang it was. I could even remember one time that there was a Pride march that was covered by Mark Logan, and Mark Logan would beyond maybe what he knew before. I mean, for sure, he didn't mean to offend. But it was something that's they did not know better. So naalala ko nung kinausap siyang drag queen na talagang in the most parang pinaka normal representation ng drag queen sa media. Talagang I felt na parang that was kind of not good to talk about it that way. Like there was a tinge of ridicule.
Okay.
But that's how it was before. Now, Pride, since it claimed its heart in protest, it's a respected way to organize and to speak out as an LGBTQ individual. The internet helped a lot, and attendance to Pride events are just increasing every single year. There was a year where there were 10,000 people, then 25,000, and then last year 70,000 people in Marikina Sports Complex.
Wow.
70,000 people drenched in the rain. I was there and it was crazy. But they were there to support, and not just LGBTQ individuals, but there are parents, there were office mates, there were straight allies, there were people from different religions. The government was also there actually, but what I guess what it makes it better na ganun kadami yung tao, and the biggest I think stride na nagawa ng Pride is to bring this conversation to the table, have an open, have a way for those who did not have an opening before to talk to this about themselves to their parents, to their families, make them understand who they really are. Kasi yun naman yung kailangan natin eh. No great change can happen when it starts as an instruction from top to bottom. The greatest change happens within, outward. So we're free to share what we think is good change from ourselves and to others. It becomes more effective.
Right. So guys, this year it's been a challenging year for the most part so far.
Oh,
How are we celebrating Pride Month in the Philippines? And how can we celebrate it every day in our personal sphere as individuals, which you've also touched on already?
Okay, so Pride this year is we want to call it a little bit different, no? Because that's what we're all doing in the new normal anyway. Hashtag. It's all online. Following all directives regarding mass gatherings, except the PNP, who did not follow it at all. But we follow and acknowledge that we have to take care of ourselves and be safe and protect each other and our families and our loved ones. So Pride chooses to be completely online this year, no? So there are different activities that you can join online. You can start by going to our Instagram account, Pride. So that's Pride for Metro Manila Pride. And there you can find, first of all, the rationale behind our theme for this year, which is Sulong Wag Patinag. Last year, it was Resist Together. So when you resist together and continue to resist, the call is to go forward and never back down. So Sulong Wag Patinag is something. It's a call. It's a theme for this year because we want to be, we want to make this feel more of a holistic thing. Change is happening across the world. Many things about reclaiming our own civil liberties have been happening around the world, no? So pride is one, but a part of I'm if it's a humanity that's in the rights of being as a human being in question, then pride is also like that. We support that kind of cause. And we really feel na kung hindi ka magiging ganon, if you leave out the freedom of one, then you're leaving out, and then that's not freedom at all. No? Because what's the point? So sulong wag patinag is the theme. Again, it underlines and underscores the reason for pride. It is first and foremost a protest, of course, a celebration as well. And with that, the different activities are made online. There was a Zoom dance party a week ago. Yeah, a week ago. It was so much fun. It was hosted on Zoom, and people, it kind of gave a people a chance to dance and celebrate with others and live and laugh through music, celebrate pride through music and dance. Two Pride marches ago, Pride events ago, 2 years ago, I DJ'd during the closing part of Pride. It was such an amazing feeling um, to make people dance and celebrate and let go, no? So like imagine like there's a side na puro drag queens, and then there's a side na puro butch lesbians, and then there huge gay men who are they would all dance to something super pop like Carly Rae Jepsen or Beyonce, and they would go crazy about it. it it's a one form of the arts, music, dance, those kinds of expressions of creativity are also things that equalizes all of everyone, no? So, nagiging equal tayo sa ganung feeling. Kaya naging dun din ang push ng Metro Manila Pride. Put more art events, put more events that deal with music, that celebrate creativity. And next week, no, this Sunday, June 21, we have an all arts online event. I'm gonna look up the name. It's called Sulong Sining. So Sulong Sining, it's the queer arts night of Metro Manila Pride, and it's an online gig. So you've heard and seen online gigs, in this past few quarantine and this lockdown period. It's kind of like that, but we're encouraging everyone and we're promoting this. Tag Metro Manila Pride in your creative expressions, illustrations, poetry, songs, dance videos. It's all up to you, and there it will be a part of a huge online celebration this coming Sunday. And there's more. Actually, there's an entire calendar of events. The actual Pride event is on by around the end of this month, the 27th. And it's just so sad that we cannot march. No, it was supposed to be held in Manila.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be held in the CCP grounds. Yeah. No? Nice, no? But
Support si Mayor Isko dyan.
yes, so that's taking up on Isko's publicized support for the LGBT. There was one point na medyo maasim yung nangyari, no? Kasi walang ADD, walang anti-discrimination bilang Maynila. But there's an organization that helped bridge that gap with the Manila City Council. And I guess it all became better. And then CCP as a venue provider was happy to work with Metro Manila Pride to become the home of Pride, supposedly for this year. But we can't do that. So definitely those plans are moved. But online, we're going to do an online protest. We're gonna release how we're gonna do that soon. So please follow Metro Manila Pride on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so that you know how you can best join Pride. I guess the biggest thing that I will be missing personally, is the involvement of companies. No,
Okay.
so a huge part of what has improved in Pride is the participation of companies, workplaces, employers who have introduced diversity as an important integral part of doing business. No? And I'm very happy that, noon I would feel na this is just pandering. Na parang, ano lang ba to? Parang ginawa nyo lang ba to kasi gusto nyong parang ma-feel na mga LGBTQIA nyo na members or employees na they are represented, ganyan-ganyan. It didn't stop there. So it's very, very active. No? So I'm very happy. Meron lang ako ipapakita dito, guys. So I'm very happy to be part of Pride at Tech. So so Pride at Tech is an umbrella organization ng mga tech companies sa Pilipinas. So quickly ko lang tapos so you are this effort with the tech companies in the Philippines has been part of Pride for a long time. And imagine what's the effect on that sa mga tao sa people who are your office mates who don't understand. But then they see that your company celebrates your life, they would then open their mind. It's one way to get their minds to broaden up, open, because na-realize na, bakit yung company ko may workplace protections against discrimination against LGBTQIA? What am I missing? Parang ganun naman, parang special ba sila? Then you'd realize, then, kasi may mga ganun ako experience eh. Bakit kayo may ganyan? Special ba kayo? Then I would tell them, we're not special. We've been oppressed. We don't have the rights that you enjoy. Our goal is for this to stop. Dapat wala ng pride, that we don't need it. Because it's as normal as how you live your life. Diba? If pride would be a thing of the past, I would be very happy. It means everyone respects and affords rights to LGBTQIA, and our children in the future will enjoy that.
Okay.
And that's why we're working on it and we're talking about it right now.
Yeah. Guys, as we wrap up, ididikit ko na dun sa sinasabi mo kasi we've been talking about the future. Of course, Pride is a protest and the community is protesting para mas magkaroon ng better future for the community. So, ang understanding ko kasi, to be honest, Thysz, lagi ko rin sinasabi to sa mga friends ko na sobrang daming mga jargon, sobrang daming mga technicalities when you're talking about the whole campaign itself, the whole movement. So sometimes it's quite intimidating na parang paano ba ako mas makakaintindi kung very intimidating from the very start unawain. Pero what I understand is, parang the bottom line for me is, the future should have coexistence between different communities. Diba? Kahit na alay ka, kahit na hindi ka part ng LGBTQI plus community, basta may coexistence and respect. So, my final question is, we are towards 2022 already. So, we are selecting a new set of leaders already. idikit na natin sa Thysz. So as a very huge and loud community, anong klaseng leader ba yung hinahanap ng community na dapat pinalain natin by 2022?
I cannot speak for the entire LGBTQIA community, no, but I will speak for myself. And you know it, Jules, I speak my mind.
Yeah, you do.
Very, very loudly, all the time. I even called our own president a failure. But to be honest, looking into the future and what we need, I'm asking to everyone watching, no, I'm not asking for, because there's a different set of values that I look for and would want to demand from a leader in 2022. But here's what I want everyone watching to do and realize: be mature as a voter. Stop being a voter for one issue only, and think of the many things that your leader should be doing and leading. You know, this is a leader that does not just represent us in the global stage or make us feel like we have a father, or make us feel like, you know, he's an effective administrator or an inspirational figure. For the most part, this person has to be all of that and must have a stand on all things important to you. To become a single issue voter limits you when there's something na ayaw mo pala, tapos pabol ka doon. We have to demand this from people who are going to run in 2022. My own personal demand, of course, is if this is somebody who can protect our freedom of speech. Kahit yun na lang muna. Sa totoo lang, hindi siya magiging diktador. And then, as you can see, a person who can lead us through crisis. The Philippines is a country which is beset by different kinds of crises every single time. Either it's natural disaster, human-made disaster, health or economic disasters. If it's a person who cannot lead you there, that person, the life of the Filipino, not just me, but of course those who are not privileged to even have this conversation,
Right.
you know, or listen to this kind of conversation. Think about them. Do not be a single issue voter. But in terms of what we're talking about right now, LGBTQIA, I wish this new government that in 2022, new talaga, no? Alam naman natin kung sino ba tatakbo, pero ay, Diyos ko Lord, sana, meron tayong option. But anyway, I would like to see the anti-discrimination bill. Punyeta. Alam mo, pag hindi ko na alam, like, siguro nasa interview ako lagi ng Vice Asia ulit. ng mga voter, mga round table. Kasi, Jules, sa totoo lang, alam mo to, I mean, we know how these things work. I mean, we're exposed with different kinds of organizations that talk about this. It's a dreadful thought, you know, especially to LGBT, where that person you just described thinks of us as less than animals. Diba? He has spoken about that publicly as a bigot, that we're lesser than animals. So, and he's running for president.
And he has the money. And
he has the money. He really has the money.
I wasn't saying a name,
Abay ka.
Baka ma-cyber libel ako.
Hindi. Pero sa totoo lang, so again, obvious na you're not gonna support that kind of person. The next is this person holistic in his or her things that he or she supports. Like the environment is important because that's the next hurdle that we're gonna try to survive in the next few years. We might survive COVID, but are we gonna survive global warming? Diba? So are these things important? Are we finally be able to achieve economic progress? Or are we going to, this person's gonna lead us through years of recession. So I don't know if you're gonna be a single issue voter, like ang reason mo kung bakit mo siya binoto ay yung apelyido, I'm an Estrada, vote for me. Ganun na lang ba? Boto nyo na ako. Diba? So, pero ganun, Jules, that's my message to everyone. Take your own personal values and demand them from your leaders. If they cannot meet your values, do not vote for them. There's no point in voting for a popular candidate. But all you're gonna do is maging saliwat sa values mo. I would be proud of myself if I can vote for a leader that matches my values. That's it.
Thank you, Thysz, for joining us and for your words of wisdom. Actually, you've simplified a lot of, as Jules put it, intimidating terms and concepts. And I like how we connected it into the very important matter that we're gonna face in the next 2 years, which is the elections. Sana mas paingangin pa natin tong sarili nating kampanya on voting leaders that matches our values. Pero tingnan din natin yung mga values pala natin, guys, kasi kailangan yung values din ng public at ng population natin ay mas malawak nga yung perspective.
That is true.
Na nabanggit mo at pinag-usapan natin ngayong gabi. Thank you, Thysz, for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, happy Pride. And
Thank you. Happy Pride, everyone. Let's continue to celebrate ourselves.
Next time, see you soon.
See you soon, Jules. Bisitahin kita.
Yeah, see you.
Life is fast, as Thysz said, so let's celebrate life. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ang saya ng usapan natin. Tapos habang nag-uusap tayo, tingnan mo na-edit ko na yung logo natin para talagang allies tayo.
Yes, I'm gonna comment on that. Thanks. Ang galing mo talaga mag-multitask, ano?
Guys, wag mo na alis ha. Usap pa tayo mamaya. Diyan ka lang. Nasa backstage pa siya.
Thysz, dyan ka lang daw. Wait lang. Mag-wrap up kami ni Jules. But yes, it was a very enlightening discussion. I hope marami ring napulot yung mga viewers natin, especially not just on Pride, but on societal issues in general. And malaking issue pa rin yung discrimination in our personal circles of influence also. So again, before we go, we're gonna share an initiative, kagaya ng nabanggit natin kanina, usong term ngayon ang Ambag. So, anong Ambag mo? This is Luna's Collective, if you have the visual. This is, their brand is a feminine volunteer-powered chat service. So, their goal is to provide support and services for survivors of gender-based violence or violence against women and people, anyone who has concerns regarding family planning or reproductive want to respond to people who may be in need of some sort of social support, especially those experiencing physical, sexual, emotional, psychological, and or financial violence or harassment. So they are available. You can just go Monday to Saturday, 1 to 4 p.m. Just go to their Facebook page, chat with them, Luna's Collective. So they have a pool of volunteers who will be able to talk to you, and as they said, kakwentuhan, kasama, kakampi. So just go to Lunas Collective. You can find them on Facebook. And yeah, so that's our featured Ambag for tonight.
Yehey! Sobrang enjoy ng usapan natin ngayon. Si Thysz, kapitbahay ko siya before dito sa may Maginhawa. So talagang alam ko na before pa lang talagang very vocal siya about this advocacy. So I'm really happy na nag-guest natin siya dito. And sana mapanood ito ng mga viewers natin, even sa mga replays, para mas maunawaan nila kung gaano kahalaga itong Pride movement, especially in the context of the Philippines. And as we gear towards the future, whatever the future will be, sana aligned doon sa mga pinaglalaban ng iba't ibang mga sectors.
Oo. And again, reiterate ko lang yung pinromote kanina ni Thysz. Just go to their Instagram account to celebrate Pride Month. You know, with the entire community, just go to @mmpride.org or use also the hashtag Sulong Wag Patinag as the campaign for this year. And yeah, that's it, Jules. Natapos tayo sa isang episode, but guys, tune in again in the coming episodes kasi may mga topics tayo such as using art for activism. Also, we're gonna talk about responsible voting, kagaya ng mga napag-usapan natin. That's next week. Pag-uusapan natin ang paparating na election. It's never too early to talk about these things, especially in the middle of everything that's happening. But yeah, so guys, kita-kita ulit tayo dito sa curfew.
Usapang di nalalockdown, ito po ang QuaranTALK. By the way, magkakaroon kami ng mga new shows dito sa page. So meron tayong entertainment, meron tayong history. Baka si Thysz gusto niya magka-show, kausapin natin siya kung trip niya. Yes, now. Weekly, Thysz. Usap tayo mamaya.
We're prepping a lot of things.
Right. We're doing this for free because it's our passion project.
Right. So we're preparing a lot of things for you guys. So yes, Jules, tune in again, guys, next week. Yes?
Yes, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 p.m. on this page.
Yes, follow us on
Instagram and Twitter, Jules Guiang.
Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/QuaranTALK online. I'm on Twitter @Ea_Antonio, on Instagram @EaAntonio. And that's it, guys. Stay well, keep safe, and see you on Friday. Bye.
Yeah. All right.